Tim, I don't think we've used this saying on this podcast yet, but I want to.
Okay.
And it could be the beginning of a manifesto. And this topic is, we have to make cryptography boring again.
We have to.
Because unfortunately, it got very exciting.
Yes. It's gotten very exciting. All right. Explain what you mean.
Well, Tim, we all know that one of the cardinal sins is rolling your own crypto. Mm-hmm. Everybody's heard that, I hope. Mm-hmm. If you haven't heard it before, don't roll your own crypto.
Don't do it.
Okay. Well, the problem is that people in enterprise environments, and I'm hearing it in their voices, oh my God, I got to swap out RSA and ECC. Well, RSA and ECC spoiled us.
Yeah.
In the case of RSA, like 40 plus years.
Absolutely.
ECC since what, 1990 something.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my goodness, now that you're having to swap algorithms and spend money and budgets and like, I got 10 other problems, but now I got cryptography to worry about. When did I ever have to think about cryptography?
Yeah.
I don't want you to have to think about cryptography, ever.
Okay.
Let's make cryptography boring again. And I think that that's something we should all, especially as vendors, strive for.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds like a task for the providers of technology.
It is. It is.
Right? You could imagine, patches come to mind as an analogy, right? Patching is terrible, right? Once upon a time, there would be 0 days, they'd be discovered, and the vendor would just kind of publish something somewhere, and you had to chase, and you had people, you had humans whose whole job was just to look for these things. And what we've done is we've seen the growth of a large, successful technology sector that assists you with this. It finds patches, it monitors patches, it looks at your systems, finds the vulnerability, it'll apply them. And all of this has made patching, I don't know if it's quite got to the point of boring, but it's much more boringer than it used to be. And it's awesome because it's predictable, it's reliable.
There you go. So now you're getting at what the heart of the manifesto needs to be.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a draft. Let's hear the response. Okay?
Okay, go.
Security wins when cryptography is predictable, dull, hard to misuse. Boy, that's something. Hard to misuse.
Hard to misuse.
You and I have had whole podcasts of accidental misuse.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You can choose mature designs that have minimal options. You and I have had podcasts about too many options in PQC right now, and that's getting a little scary.
Mm-hmm.
Safe defaults.
Okay.
Rigorous operations. In other words, the implementations are utterly rock solid, written by people who know their business.
Yeah.
Relentless verification. All of that trumps novelty.
Yeah.
And so therefore, we should optimize for under rotation risk. In other words, that's the basis of the argument for why we have to have cryptographic agility. Cryptographic agility is needed because there is a risk of under rotation.
Yeah.
Maintenance half-lives go down. That means you're maintaining more. And of course, we cannot forget about the fact that there's humans in the loop here still. Mm-hmm. So there's human factors to this. And I'll point back to what I just said in the manifesto, which is minimal choices, sane defaults should absolutely be part of this manifesto. If a feature in cryptography makes headlines, it probably doesn't belong in the baseline.
Yeah. If a feature in cryptography makes headlines, that's probably bad.
Exactly.
If cryptography is being discussed, that's probably bad.
That's probably bad.
Yeah.
Because when you and I, Tim, talk about hey, how does the shortest vector problem, how does code-based cryptography, and today we did a little episode on classic McAleese. And I love the fact that you intuitively said, sounds a whole lot like haystacks.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we should all love the fact that it all kind of looks the same if you stand back about 20,000 feet and you wince. It's essentially what makes it quantum resistant. And therefore, none of them are so special that they stand out in a way that it's like, wow, this is doing something that's really novel. A lot of these things are based on things that are not novel at all. Classic McAleese has been around, as a mathematical concept since forever. And therefore, we should like it for that.
Yes.
Right?
That's held up as one of the big advantages of classic. There's a lot of big disadvantages, as you've pointed out, to classic McAleese. The biggest advantage is we feel fairly good about the fact that we're not going to have some kind of aha moment about how to break this.
Yeah.
Right. And by the way, until we hit quantum computers, this was the biggest advantage of RSA. Was a lot of people had tried for a long time to beat it.
It's been banged on so hard.
Yeah. Right.
By really smart people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so zero trust has a set of principles, right? How about make cryptography boring again has a set of principles? Let's attempt to make those principles.
Okay.
Number one, minimalism should be a principle. Okay. Every option.
You mean minimalism of choice?
Every option is liability.
Yeah. Okay.
Now you have to have some options.
Yeah.
But the thing is, go out there in the world, folks, and look at the amount of options just in MLDSA.
Yeah, there's been I don't know if flourishing is the right word. There's been a huge expansion of options coming with the move to PQC. You wonder, is that an artifact of this being fundamentally an exploratory technology space, or is that the new normal?
I think it might be the new normal.
Yeah. Okay.
Number two, Tim. I think I've said it already, but it has to be put as part of the principles. Safe by default.
Yeah.
And I'm not inventing that term. Other people have said it. Smarter people than me have said it. But it's got to be in the set of principles. Okay.
Right.
Default must be on the secure path. Advanced modes are only opt-in, and they have to have guardrails. Okay. Number three, the maturity bias. One of the principles we have to have is a maturity bias.
Yeah, that's a tough one because the migration to PQC by definition demands novelty.
That's right. And therefore, we might not have maturity in the same way we've felt so comfy with RSA. Mm-hmm. And even now today with ECC, right. We feel the comfort of ECC.
Yeah.
That maturity bias, though, it has to be part of the principle. Mm-hmm. Can we achieve it? No, but we have to absolutely prefer the primitives and protocols that have a lot of mileage.
Yeah. Now, the other nuance to that, I think this one, I'm not disagreeing with it, but I think this one could be really hard.
It's going to be hard.
Because the other problem with that is we don't know what we're going to figure out about these new algorithms. And we've talked about this in the past. For all we know, right now, some smarty is somewhere coming up with a better way to assault MLDSA.
Guaranteed.
And as, Michaela Mosca told us, I think the best cryptographic minds who are trying to break a cryptographic algorithm,
they're on the PQC,
aren't putting their effort into classic cryptography because quantum computers are going to solve that problem for us. They are putting it into the PQC algorithms.
100%. Therefore,
right.
The reason why it's in the principles is to point out the problem. Yeah. The fact that we don't really have an ability to enable that principle. What's the way out? Cryptographic agility.
Yeah.
We have to be able to swap because we know we can't achieve maturity on day one.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yes.
It literally is the flip of the coin on that one. So number 4, I think we have to declare, Tim, usability is security in this case.
Sure.
So in other words, humans have to be able to operate these systems.
And it means they have to understand the consequences of their choices.
There's a term that some people are using now, foot guns. In other words, it's like your ability to shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's too easy, that's no good.
Yeah. Eliminate to the degree that you can eliminate foot guns in the security world, it's usually a good idea.
Tim, the next one, we now would live in an era with memory safe languages. Memory safe languages first. Now, it doesn't mean you can't still screw up the implementation, but I hate to say this to all the C++ guys out there, but why in the world would you begin one of these projects with a memory unsafe language? Sorry.
Yeah.
Key management before crypto. Okay. If keys are weak or mishandled, your crypto don't matter.
Yeah. Fair enough.
We did an episode on this today. Side channel awareness and side oracle awareness.
Yeah.
I think that that's a principle as part of this.
And then connected to that, and maybe you're going to hit this as your own, so forgive me if you are, is recognition of the fact that a properly secure, mathematically secure algorithm can still be implemented insecurely.
Oh, yes.
Right? Whether it's a side channel, technically a side channel attack or not.
All sorts of attacks, they all apply.
Yeah.
There will be attack types. I'm just naming 2.
Sure. Yep.
Agility without chaos. If your system doesn't support versioning, if it doesn't support migration paths, a buffer of ciphers is not what we need. And we talked about this today. We talked a lot about time as a security primitive. If you don't have a migration path that takes time into account, you've done it wrong, right? So in other words, it's a big problem. Agility can turn into chaos quickly. So make sure that your agility is thinking through everything. In fact, that should be a future podcast for us. How do you do agility without chaos?
Okay.
That's a tough one.
I like that one.
But it's worth chewing on, right?
Yeah.
All right. Correctness should be observable, measurable.
Okay.
So in other words, you should be able to reproduce your builds. Your test harnesses, test vectors.
Right.
Have you done basic fuzzing?
You should have discrete, describable measures of success or failure. You should metricize where metricization is possible. You should have KPIs where they're possible. They won't always be possible.
Of course.
But
wherever there are.
Where they are, yeah.
Tim, next one. You're going to like this because we just did this today. Documented threat models. I threw some heavy-duty shade on HQC today on a previous episode. And I told you how a side Oracle attack might work against it. Now, it doesn't mean it would work. I am saying that's a threat model.
Yeah.
And I think that anybody who implements HQC, any cryptographic algorithm, should at least understand, hey, is it smart to put HQC where a side channel attack works?
Yeah.
Or a side Oracle attack?
And I think you and I had a conversation in a recent episode about the difference between it's one thing to say, I know it's not happening. It's a different thing to say, I know it can't happen. And the first one is not nearly as good as the second one.
Bingo.
right?
That's another fallacy of which I can't name right now, but you've basically pointed that out. That's bad thinking.
Yeah.
If you're thinking that I don't see any evidence for it, I don't mean nothing.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's meaningful. It's different versus I do see evidence for it, right? But it's not the same as saying I've proven that it's safe.
From a very human response, it ain't giving me warm and fuzzies.
Right.
When people say they don't see themselves being attacked.
Agreed. Yes. Agreed.
Number 11, Tim, is the good old one. No homebrews. Don't roll your own crypto.
Yeah.
That has to be inside this principle as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just repeating what's obvious. If you can't afford to audit it for 5+ years as a vendor, don't ship it.
Okay.
Too much stuff is released where the audit economics are like, we don't really want to support this really. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to cryptography, wow, you made a mistake if that's your position. Okay? Compliance without consortium. I think that what I'm really trying to say here is that the simplest compliant profile is the right one.
Okay. Okay.
Because my God, can we ever go down? You know better than anybody.
There are other areas where there is this preference for simplicity, right? Two solutions that are equal in every other way. We should go for the simpler one because there's less to break.
That's it. That's all.
Right?
It's
less
principle.
room for fault.
This is a set of principles.
Yeah.
And that should be a principle.
Yeah.
So here's the final one on a non-exhaustive list. And that is what you're doing incident ready?
Okay.
In other words, assume breaches, assume problems. How prepared are you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's yes. I agree with that. And I think sometimes you see this. I mean, we learned this the hard way. We've pretty much given up on the idea of a green zone.
That was always a mistake.
Right? And we saw some major breaches because once you got through the perimeter, you could just do anything you wanted.
So what do you do when you've actually learned something? You apply it to your next set of principles.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done here.
Yeah. All right.
That's it, Tim.
All right. Thanks, Jay.